All right, let's talk about something I think a lot of us have felt. You ever leave a party or a get-together feeling just completely wiped out? And I'm not talking about from alcohol. I'm talking about from people. Today, we're going to dive deep into the science of the social hangover. It's that awful, draining feeling of depletion that, it turns out, is not just in your head. It's actually in your biology. So let's get into what's really going on.
Okay, picture this. You're at a birthday party. The music's thumping, there are like 5 conversations happening around you at once, and you're just trying to look casual, holding a drink and smiling. But inside, a countdown clock has started. Your jaw starts to ache from smiling, the lights suddenly feel way too bright, and every burst of laughter just sounds like a fire alarm going off in your head. This isn't you being antisocial, no way. This is the very beginning of a neurological collapse.
So what is this feeling, really? Well, it has a name. A social hangover. And let's be super clear about what this is and what it isn't. This is not about being shy, it's not about being sick. It is a genuine state of depletion. We're talking physical, mental, and emotional that kicks in when your nervous system has just had enough. It's a biological reality, and for so many of us, it has been this invisible battle we thought we were fighting alone.
And the fallout from these social hangovers? Oh, it goes way beyond just feeling tired. It creates these real, tangible costs in our lives. I'm talking about lost productivity. Those days of brain fog where you just can't get anything done, or having to cancel other plans just so you can recover. And then there are the physical symptoms, headaches, total exhaustion. But maybe worst of all is the shame tax, that horrible feeling where you just beat yourself up for not being normal.
You want to put a number on it? Okay, based on average freelance rates and about 2 days of being basically non-functional at work, a single bad social hangover can cost you around $800 in lost productivity. Yeah, when you see it laid out like that, you realize that ignoring your own biological limits isn't just exhausting, it's actually expensive. So why does this even happen? I mean, what is going on? To get that, we have to look at the science. And here's the good news. The answer isn't some personal failing on your part. It's all about how our brains are fundamentally wired.
Okay, this is the key difference, and honestly, the metaphor here is perfect. Think of extroverted brains like solar panels. They run on dopamine, that's the reward chemical. For them, socializing is like standing in bright sunshine. It just charges them right up. Now, introverted brains, we're more like batteries. We run on a different neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, which is for deep thinking and internal processing. Our neural pathway is actually longer and burns way more energy. So every single interaction literally drains the battery.
And look, this isn't just some cute analogy. This is backed by hard science. Brain imaging studies actually confirm that we introverts have higher blood flow to our frontal cortex. That's the part of the brain responsible for deep thought. We're also way more sensitive to dopamine, which is exactly why we get overstimulated so easily. And finally, yeah, those acetylcholine pathways are more active, which makes the whole process of just being social literally more costly in terms of energy.
So what happens when that battery finally hits zero? Well, you crash, and it is a full-body experience. Your system gets flooded with the stress hormone, cortisol. Your brain literally runs out of the neurotransmitters it needs to function properly. Your senses are so overloaded that your brain pretty much overheats and just shuts down. And if you've been masking, faking being an extrovert, you pay a huge mask tax on your self-control, which makes that final crash even more brutal.
Now, facing this biological reality, it can all feel a little bleak. But here's the thing. Understanding the problem is the first step toward actually managing it. And for the author of our source material, that moment of understanding came in a very, very unexpected place.
So after a totally normal 90-minute coffee with a friend, the author found herself just sitting in her car, completely unable to find the energy to go into Trader Joe's. And the thought that hits you in a moment like that, it's just crushing. What is wrong with me? What kind of adult can't even handle grocery shopping? It's a moment of shame that I think so many of us can relate to.
And right there, in that parking lot, that's when the breakthrough happened. The realization was actually simple, but it was so profound. Introversion is not a character flaw that you need to fix. It is a biological reality that you need to manage. And that simple shift in perspective, it changes everything. It takes you out of that vicious cycle of shame and puts you on a path of practical self-management.
So how do we actually do that? How do we go from just barely surviving to, thriving? We need a toolkit. So let's walk through 4 really practical, data-driven lessons for taking your energy back.
Okay, lesson number 1, become an energy accountant.
Seriously, for 2 weeks, just track your energy level on a simple scale of 1 to 10 after every social thing you do. This isn't about judging yourself, it's just about collecting data. And pretty soon you'll start to see patterns. You'll be able to calculate exactly how much recovery time you need for different activities. And you know what? Sharing this data with a loved one can be a total game changer for them too.
Next up, let's talk about the mask tax. This is that extra energy you burn when you're performing extroversion. Faking that enthusiasm, forcing smiles when you don't feel it. Not only does this pretty much double the drain on your battery, but here's the kicker. People can often sense when you're not being authentic, which can end up sabotaging the very connections you're trying so hard to build.
And the cost of this mask tax is just staggering when you see the actual data. For example, going to a holiday party for 4 hours while wearing the full extrovert mask, it resulted in a 3-day recovery period. 3 days! But attending that same party, just being authentic, being honest about energy levels, and leaving a little early, the recovery time dropped to just 1 day. Being authentic literally gives you your time back.
All right, lesson 3 is all about reclaiming your no. Before you say yes to anything, run it through what's called the hell yes filter. If your gut reaction isn't an enthusiastic hell yes, then it's a no. It's that simple. And have some polite, no big deal scripts ready, like, thanks so much for thinking of me, but I can't make it. And finally, give yourself a 24-hour rule before you commit to anything. This isn't being selfish, it's being strategic. Now, our final lesson might be the most important one of all. Recovery is not passive. Just lying in bed scrolling on your phone is not going to recharge your battery. You need what's called active recovery. That means deliberately doing things that signal to your nervous system that it is safe to power down, to shift out of fight or flight and into rest and digest mode. Recovery is actually a skill you can learn and get better at. And you can build a recovery protocol that's tailored just for you. If you're feeling a mild drain, maybe an hour or 2 of quiet time does the trick. For a moderate drain, you might need a whole evening of solitude. But for a severe social hangover, you need to be ready to block off 24 to 48 hours for yourself and schedule in what are called reset buttons, like a walk in nature, a hot bath, or a quiet hobby, to actively help your nervous system get back on track. You see, when you start putting all of these tools together, you move beyond just dealing with the hangovers after they happen. You actually start to design a life that's aligned with your biology instead of a life where you're constantly fighting against it. And I mean, just look at the difference. On one side, you've got a life defined by constant exhaustion, by shame, by always being in crisis management mode. But when you start designing your life around your biology, you get sustainable energy, you get self-respect, you're proactive, not reactive, and the connections you make are so much deeper and more authentic. You're not just surviving anymore, you're actually building a life that works for you.
There's this big fear that if you start honoring these limits, your life is going to get smaller. But what people find is that the exact opposite is true. When you stop wasting all your precious energy on performing and recovering, you have so much more to give to the people and the passions that truly matter to you. Your life doesn't get smaller at all. It gets deeper.
So, if there's one core takeaway from all of this, it's the one you see right here. You just cannot force a battery-operated system to run like a solar panel. It's not going to work. Stop trying. Your system is designed differently, and honoring that design is the absolute key to unlocking sustainable energy and genuine happiness.
At the end of the day, that feeling of a social hangover, it isn't a failure, it's a signal. It's your body giving you incredibly important data about your own limits and your own needs. So the final question is really for you. Are you ready to start listening?